Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome to English grade 8 video lessons. Students, today we are going to cover another students learning outcome from our unit number 8. This is our lecture 3B and we are going to talk about reading comprehension. Today we are going to understand that how we can enhance our reading by actually answering some questions. So today's learning outcome is about reading a text, and in order to check our understanding and in order to respond to the text using our answers. But first we need to understand what these questions are and what answer is required. So let's get straight to our learning outcome. Today we have two learning outcomes merged into one. Number one is apply strategies to comprehend questions or to understand the questions by marking keywords, verbs, and tenses in a variety of literal or textual or factual open-ended questions. We are going to focus on what these questions are that require interpretation, inference, and personal response. The second learning outcome is about reading and viewing a variety of age-appropriate and high-interest books and texts from print and non-print sources, and we are going to see how something works. Explanation text in which we have a lot of different explanations. Let's go with the first one. You can see the vertical linkage over here, and let's begin and dive into our brainstorming session for today. You need to understand and think about how you usually approach answering questions in general or open-ended questions. Now, when you're reading any reading comprehension passage, or if you're reading any lesson from your textbook, or in general, that is followed by some comprehension questions to check your understanding. So, up till now, how do you approach these questions? Think about it so we can talk about it. Good. So students, you first read the main lesson, the text of the lesson, and then you start understanding the questions which you are asked to answer. And we see some important words, some key words, we focus on some words, we highlight them, and then answer accordingly, right? So there are actually two different kinds of questions. We have open-ended questions and closed-ended questions. We are going to see about them and how we can answer them, and especially our focus will be on open-ended questions. Now let us understand that when we are actually understanding a question, we mark keywords. Keywords are important words. There can be nouns, group of nouns, verbs, etc., except articles. So you should not be worried about the articles. Articles are actually just there for help, prepositions, and others. Now, articles and prepositions, we are not going to focus on them, but rather we are going to focus on nouns, on different verbs that are in that particular question. So this is what we mean by marking keywords. Keywords are important words that we need to underline when we are answering questions. Now first, let us talk about what are open-ended questions. As suggested by the name, I hope we are clear. Open-ended questions are actually the questions that cannot be answered with a simple yes or no. It means it requires more answer rather than yes or no, and instead it requires the respondent, the person who's answering it, to elaborate on their points. So it means that these questions are open-ended. It means that there is a margin that you can answer it with your understanding. You can use more words instead of just no or yes, because yes or no questions, they are called closed-ended questions. So there's a clear difference between them. Let's understand these words, these questions. Closed questions are questions where we have questions like, Was it what you expected? Did you expect that? The answer can be in the form or yes, yes or no. Same goes with these questions. But open-ended questions are actually checking your understanding and allowing you to share your experience and comprehension. What did you expect? How was this different from what you expected? Now, these kind of questions are there's not you cannot just answer it in yes or no, because the question demands you to answer more than that. So this is the clear difference between a closed-ended and open-ended questions. Now, here you can open your book and you can see the lesson, read it, and then you can read the whole lesson as part of your classroom activity. You can take your time. All right. Now, you can see these questions over here. Now, what we are going to do is first categorize the questions. This is your post-reading question. It means that this is talking about the main idea of the text when it talks about giving way, being friendly on the road, and driving at the right speed. So, first, you will talk about the main idea, as this is our keyword which is clearly mentioning us. Now, let's understand what is the main idea of the text when it talks about giving way. This is also an open-ended question. Right. Now, you can answer it openly. First, you will read the text and then answer it. We have to tell what is the main idea. Now, we have to understand the main idea first and then tell it in our own words. And this will complete the answer. Now, all these questions over here have some keywords. In the number 1, define giving way. It means now you have to define it. You have to elaborate it, define it as a minimum thing, giving way on the road based on the provided text. Now, giving way is also our keyword over here. You will talk about what is the meaning and how can you define the term giving way. Question number 2 asks us to explain that why giving way is compared to taking turns on the road. Now, we have to give a little bit of explanation on the question. Now, first one was to define it. The answer can be short, but now when we are talking about explanation, the answer can be a bit longer, and you have to explain that why giving way is compared to taking turns on the road. Now, number 3, in the question number 3, you see the keyword provide examples. We have to give examples of situations mentioned in the text where giving way is required. It means that we have to look for some examples that we have seen in the text and different situations and see that where are we going to give way when it is required. So it means that you have to solve this question with examples. Question number 4 asks us to create a set of guidelines for road users regarding giving way, summarizing the rules mentioned in the text. First, we have to create guidelines for road users. It means that when we can do it in the form of a table, in the form of a graph, or any kind of infographics can be added over here. Then we have to read the rules and then summarize them in our own words. So this is what we are supposed to do in our question number 4. The question number 5 asks us to evaluate the importance of giving way rules in ensuring smooth traffic flow and preventing accidents. Now, we will read the text again, find out the part where it is said that how the lesson's main idea, the topic, is important, and how giving way is very much important. So we have to evaluate that if not done correctly, there can be consequences and bad results. So we need to see that, and we need to evaluate the situations and then present our answer. Now this question, clearly the analytical question asks us to analyze the role of giving way in road etiquette and safety as explained in the test. Now we will put on our analytical skills. We need to analyze it, and in your analysis you can do comparison, and you can quote and cite evidences and references from the main text of the lesson. Now these are the keywords that we see. We highlighted them. Some of them are verbs. They are clearly asking you a particular thing in the question. And that's how we will solve our open-ended questions. All of these questions are basically open-ended questions, not closed-ended questions, because we need to give more answer, a longer answer than yes or no. So I hope, students, that now you can read the lesson if you have not read it, and then solve these questions. And I hope that now you can understand the questions about defining, explaining, evaluating, and also doing for doing analysis. Now, here are some rules that we need to follow. We have to identify the keywords as we did. Secondly, you have to determine the question type. What kind of question is it? Is it asking you to recall any information from the text? Is it a basic knowledge question? Or we are going to see that is the question asking us to interpret the text, infer meaning from the text, hidden meaning, explicit or implicit meaning or hidden meaning, or provide a personal response? Is it asking about your experience and your personal thinking or point of view? So we need to see that what the question is demanding us to do. It means that we need to see what the question type is before answering it. Then, thirdly, you have to paraphrase the question in your own words. If the question is written in a complicated kind of sentence, it is difficult to understand, then you have to paraphrase it in your own understanding and see if you have understood it or not. So paraphrasing the question makes it easy to break it down and then answer it. Okay, next one, students, we have to use context clues. If we have trouble understanding any word in the question, we can use context clues of those 4 types which we have talked about in previous lessons and apply it on your statement of the question. Then you have to answer the question directly without going and beating about the bush and talking about something else. Just straight away start answering the question. This will make it more appropriate and according to the question. Number 6 is where you have to provide evidence. If there are facts, evidences, and references that you can see in the text of the lesson, you can now highlight them and use them in your answer. So these are all these 6 very important rules you need to follow if you want to answer open-ended questions. Students, here's your worksheet where you have to identify that which one of these questions are open-ended and which one is closed-ended. These are all the resources. You can get the worksheet and all these things from the description of the video. I hope that now we can easily break down different complicated analytical questions, evaluation questions, and all these open-ended questions can be solved easily by understanding the main words, marking the keywords, highlighting the main verbs, etc. So now it's time for you to answer these questions by yourself after reading the lesson. I'll meet you in the next video lesson, students. Take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.